All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to hashtag live 365 up here in Island Falls, Maine, on the lake this morning. Getting after it. Got a special guest with us. He's special, all right. Steve Rosenberg joining us this morning from across the pond, as they say. What's
Yeah.
happening?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Right back down here. And I mean, who's got it better than me? Starting the day out with this backdrop, you know?
It's beautiful, man. And just to be clear, I'm not across your pond. I'm across our pond.
That's right.
So there's a difference.
Yeah, for sure. You're not over there. Well, I think you went over here last night. It's funny. Oftentimes, in the evening hours, we'll look up and just see plane after plane after plane. We
Yeah.
must be on the flight path to Europe or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. We go right over the top of Gander, which it depends. St. John's, we go over different spots, but yeah, that's kind of the jumping spot,
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm glad you were able to jump on this morning. As you know, I've been working from a kind of a 10-day series on just living intentionally, right? A lot of shit going on, right? And so guys like us feel like, hey, how do we operate in times like this? So I've just decided that, hey, I just want to try to encourage people to live more intentionally, lean into the relationships that they have and have impact. And you and I have impact on a lot of different people. But one of the things that I wanted to mention today is using gratitude as a weapon against fear. And because fear thrives in that what if thinking, right? Well, what if I do this, or what if I don't do that? And it magnifies problems and minimizes possibilities, but it can be paralyzing, don't you think? I mean, fear, you've seen that in your career and in coaching, and we see it sometimes when somebody's evaluating whether they want to jump on a coaching program or spend some money and go to the next level, right?
Yeah. I think that if I remember hearing a story. I'll start with this, and the story was the 85-year-old person on their deathbed never regrets the life they lived. They only regret the life they never lived.
Right. Yeah.
And so you think about that, and there's a lot of metaphors and sayings and stuff that I've heard. The parking lot of ideas is full of people and ideas that wished they got out of that parking lot.
Yep.
And the only thing that kept them there, the gate that kept them down, was the gate of fear. And I think what's interesting when we think about fear and we think about doubt, right? They can be so convincing, right? It can convince us of so many things, but when we think of fear and we think of doubt, you can't see it, can't touch it, can't taste it. We can't even say that's fear sitting next to me.
Right.
But we let it drive all of our decisions.
Yep.
So why do we do that? Why do we sit there and say what could go wrong? I mean, Tuck.
It's Tuck.
There's Tuck. What's up, buddy?
I'm down to check shit out.
Yeah. When we think about it, it's like, why do we always the human brain is so many years old, a couple million years. And it's meant to protect us. And the way that we think it's supposed to protect us is keeping us comfortable.
Sure.
And that's our way of staying the same. Don't let things change. And that's how we protect ourselves. But what if that was actually the worst thing for us? What if staying still was actually the worst thing that we could do as humans? Not even entrepreneurs. What if that was wrong?
Right.
And we find out at the end of this game, when it's all done and you are on your deathbed, you realize that you played the game with the wrong set of rules and you can't go back and fix it. And the assumption is that we have an infinite amount of time, that we will always have time for this. I'll do that later. I will go on that vacation. Like, listen, you said it perfectly the other day, Bob. Is like, you've got this beautiful place up there. Why don't you use it more and go up there and fucking, you can do all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's a very interesting thing about fear and doubt. And, I don't even think it's like, sometimes people say it's being lazy. I don't think it's being lazy, because I don't think anyone on here, if you're on here and you follow me or you follow you, or you're being coached or by us or anyone, I don't think any of us are lazy. I don't think we lack hustle. Right. I don't think any of that. I think that we let many people, and probably you and I to a degree, have certain things that we've probably not done in our lives. I think we can all admit that we've all had fear, and we've all let fear make decisions for us. Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have, Bob. I'm sure I have. I mean, has anyone here on the call ever let fear do something like that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, pop in the chat, guys, if you've kind of let fear control you. I know that I was talking to Chris Dwyer a couple of years ago, and I was talking to him about how I always kind of felt like I got to a certain level, and just kind of didn't go any further. And he said, well, you probably because you've always had enough, and I think that sometimes we get to a point where we have enough, we're comfortable, but we don't necessarily know what the cost might be of kicking down that next barrier. Right. And saying, well, I don't want to go backward from here. And, you and I, we chat a lot outside of this call. And one of the things you mentioned to me after spending a weekend, and I'll share this, I know you won't mind, and spending a weekend with Eli, you said, I'm not thinking big enough. Right. And before I got hanging around with you, I wasn't thinking big enough. And we just kind of had a moment there on the phone where we both kind of chuckled, because to me, you're the one that's thinking bigger than me, and hear you saying I'm not thinking big enough. So that was exciting. And, when you think about it, all it takes is a little bit of effort, just showing up, being consistent, and stacking some small wins every day. It doesn't have to be sexy. Most times it's not, right? I mean, we're having to do the things that either aren't fun or that other people don't want to do. So
I don't even think it takes, I would even take a step back, Bob. I don't even know if I would say that it takes effort. I think it starts with a decision.
Yeah, different mindset.
Right. Well, we just have to decide. And I think what it comes down to is most people, and I would say there's probably people on this call, not many, but there's probably a few people on this call that have just not decided to take the action it takes to have the life they want to have. So what happens is they will always let fear dictate their decisions. And again, I this was even more reinforced. I will tell you, you and I have talked about this a lot, but spending time with people that are elevated,
right?
And they're talking about, and not that money is the driver. So I'm not saying it is, but these guys are talking about doing $50 million businesses. Like, I started this 3 years ago. It's a $50 million business.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to 10X it, and then I'm going to sell it. And I'm just like,
different level. Yeah.
I'm just like, wait, what? And he's like, and he's asking what I do. And he's like, bro, you fucking work way too hard. He's like,
right.
And there was a guy there. I'll give you, I'm not going to say any names, but there was a guy there. He was an online coach, and he's doing, I think he said he's doing 15 million in a year in revenue.
Yeah.
And he does one challenge a month online. And he's like, that's all I do. I do one challenge a month. I'm like, how long is your challenge? And he's like, 5 days. I said, really? I said, what's your revenue? He's like, 15 million. Crazy. I said, you're doing 15 million from 1 week? He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to pare that down. He's like, I don't want to work that much. And I'm sitting there going, okay, now I like what I do. I think you like what you do.
Sure.
But I think we would all of us would like 15 million for working 1 week a month. Would we not?
Yeah, I'd take that. Yeah.
But here's the difference. I said, walk me through your 5-day challenge. He said, well, the other 3 weeks of the challenge is marketing. I said, how much do you spend in marketing? He said, $300,000 to $400,000
a year.
Oh. You know what it was? That was my out. to go, oh, okay, well that's why 300 to 400,000. That makes sense.
Yeah, right.
He goes, would you put $300,000 to $400,000 on the line? And I said, what I always ask people, I said, it's not what I would invest. I said, my question is what would I make?
How much am
And
I
he
getting
goes,
back?
"That's a good
Yeah.
question." He goes, I make $1 million off of my 400,000. I said, dude, I would do that all fucking day long.
Right.
He's like,
I
yeah.
think
He goes,
I might work 10 days a month.
but then his question is why don't you?
Yeah.
I said, that's a good question, man. I said, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. We talk a lot about getting in the right rooms, and it sounds like that was definitely the right room for you. You're kind of one step from say Tony Robbins, and especially with Eli, and you're just getting a lot of stuff, and even at the level that you've taken this thing to, and where you feel you're at professionally and in coaching business, to be able to step into a room and feel like the least accomplished probably in some ways around those guys must have been pretty cool.
It was, it was, and it's funny you talk about this subject this morning, because it was very relevant to this, right? And yeah, Jason, 300,000 to 400,000 a month, exactly, to make $1 million.
I thought it was a year when you first said it. It's a month.
A month. It's just math, though. It's just numbers.
Right.
But I'm sitting in this room, and the guy who's coaching me is explaining to me. He's reading me the text messages between him and Alex Hormozi, and he's showing me where Alex was like, "Hey, I really need you to come out, and I need you to do this." And then he's showing me there's a guy named Jeremy Miner that he coaches. There's a guy named Chase Hughes. Chase Hughes is like, when it comes to NLP and negotiating, he's like, there's who's the guy that wrote the book Never Split the Difference?
Yeah. Chris Voss.
He's like,
yeah.
There's Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
There's Chris Voss. There's Chase Hughes. Chase wrote all of the protocols for all of this.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's my buddy, and we're doing something together. And he's like, we're doing a vitamin business that's making 11 million a month. They're just throwing these numbers out. And he's like, and what's so interesting is they're so detached from the numbers, right? We sit there and go like, what did Jason anchor on? Jason anchored on what the cost was. Not saying that he was afraid to do it, but he's anchored on the cost. They're just like, what does it matter? Oh, Chase. Okay. I had never heard of him before. So I'm going to set up a thing where I get to meet Chase. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm in this room and these guys are throwing numbers around. Like we hang our value a lot of times on that number.
Right.
He's like, dude, he's like, yeah, he's like, it'll probably be 50 million in this. And then he told me they got a vitamin business that they sell vitamins to people. And then they call them up and they offer coaching packages.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, how's that doing? He goes, we did $11 million last month. Exactly. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I have to reset my filter here because I'm in a room, when look at now, for those of you guys that have made the decision that are coming to Mach 5, not like those other people that are going to wait for 2027 and say whatever. But for those that come, you're going to get to meet these people. That guy that I'm talking about that's doing the 15 million, he's trying to rearrange his schedule so he can come down. He's like, dude, I want to come hang out. He's like, Eli's going to be there. Jason. He's like, I know Jason. He's like, dude, I want to fucking come to this thing.
Yeah.
Like he lives in Austin. So he's like, I'm like, dude, come on down, man. I said, I'll give you VIP. You can hang out with everyone. We're going to go shooting. It'll be great. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Super cool.
Well, and when you think about it, what caused all this was me letting go of fear.
Yeah.
Of calling Eli personally. I reached out to him and said, I want you to coach me. That was it.
Yeah.
It was and what was that? That was a decision that I made.
Yeah.
I just made a decision.
Yep. Rachel's asking what's an NLP. I'll let you answer that.
Well, Rachel, it's not a sandwich at the diner, just to be clear.
I'll have an NLP. No
I'll have
onion.
an NLP with on rye.
Extra pickles.
Rachel, NLP is that's a good question, actually. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and neuro-linguistic programming is communicating with your mind at a subconscious level. It's a form of hypnosis. It's a form of communication. It's basically it's something that is used on us every day, every single day. NLP is used. I learned NLP about 15 years ago. But NLP is something that for the ones that use it and know how to use it effectively, it can be a very, very financially rewarding skill set. Eli is a master at NLP, and he's going to be talking about that at Mach 5. So this is the difference of making hundreds of thousands to making millions of dollars. My first mentor, Marshall Silver, is probably one of the best out there besides Tony Robbins that taught me NLP. And so, you know, it's the Eli gave me a good analogy. And you can probably relate to this, Bob, because in a couple months, that'll probably happen to you, is if you're crossing a frozen lake, what's the best way to cross it? You look for the footprints in front of you.
Right.
Because someone has made the path, right?
Right.
So, you know, think about that. When people that are successful, they make a mistake, they learn from that mistake, and then they move forward. But geniuses just learn the mistakes of others so they don't make the mistake. They're not afraid to say, I want to learn from you. I have no ego. So I'm tying this back to the fear thing. So I'll let you kind of anchor back on that. But that is fear. Many of you on this call have fear. You're fearful of something that has caused you not to do something in your life. You know it and I know it. I'm just the one who's saying it out loud.
Yeah. Good stuff, Rachel. I know, I won't say I hope that answers your question. I know it does. And I'm enjoying some of that stuff as well. When I was talking to Wendy yesterday, we're talking, you know, it seems like when we come up here, we work on stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah. And one of the things that I'm working on is just letting go of shit that pisses me off, right? that isn't right. Like being able to just move by it, or, you know, as she says, or Mel Robbins says, you know, let them, right? So one of the ways I'm doing that is just to come from a place of gratitude, right? Like I'm super thankful, super happy that, number one, that we even have a place like this to come to, but also that, you know, we were sitting here in the Adirondack chairs the other day, and I may have mentioned this, and I just looked at her and said, isn't this what we were trying to do? Isn't this where we were trying to get? And we're here. And so being able to take a second and appreciate that. And then, you know, I don't stay there long. I'm going to move the finish line, right? I'm going to move those goalposts and see what else we can do. So, but what I wanted to share with you guys today about gratitude is it kind of shifts the focus from what's missing to what's present. You know, well, I don't have this and I can't do that, but you do have this and you can do that. You know, it rewires the brain to look for the positives, creating a calm and clarity. And like you said, Steve, the brain is wired to keep us comfortable. So you almost have to kind of figuratively kick it in the ass to get into a spot where you're uncomfortable and where you can attack the fear. You know, and having that gratitude just can, if nothing else, can just remind you that you've accomplished so much already, right? And we don't want to compare that to everybody else. Was that comparison is the thief of joy, all that stuff, right? So I like to give these guys a couple of things to take away from the call. And I would challenge you guys to practice the gratitude daily, like start and end your day with 3 things you're grateful for. Like Steve, he'll work on his note cards. I know you take time in the morning to just kind of get centered, right? Share your gratitude with others, you know, send a text, write a note, speak it out loud. I can't think of how many times Wendy's sitting right here. How many times have I said to you this weekend, I'm just grateful for, you know, being here with me and working on the place and making it, you know, getting it where we want it. So, you know, and you've mentioned the words, repeatedly, pattern interrupt. You know, and you can use gratitude to that end. When fear and stress show up, you can use that gratitude, frankly, just as a simple pattern interrupt. So I challenge you guys, like, before you flip on the news, before you hit the social media and start scrolling through all the latest stuff of what bad stuff happened today, just write down 3 things you're grateful for, even if it's just on the notes app in your phone, whatever. Have a note says gratitude, whatever. And as I always do, Bubba, as I always do, challenge you guys to post it in the chat. And very few people will, out of fear. You know, post some things that you're grateful for in the chat. And
I think,
yeah.
I think, you know, I think that a lot of us have good intentions, right? I think a lot of us, you know, sometimes we weren't raised with these new programming, this new way of thinking, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people on this call that they just don't know what they should do, what they should say. Something you could do is, you know, have you ever picked up your phone and just texted 3 people from your past,
right,
about something actually personable, that you're thanking them for, whether it's someone you grew up with, someone you haven't talked to, even someone you got into an argument with? You know, how many people do that?
Right.
I used to do that every week. I would just pick 3 people and just text them. I've gotten away from that. I probably should get back to it. But you know, my old business partner, Pete, he would, I forget what he said at ground school. I think he said he does 10 or 20 handwritten cards a week to people.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Handwritten.
Handwritten. Yeah. He just pulls out a pen. He goes through his I would say Rolodex, but on his phone, he just finds 20 people and just writes them a letter, a personal letter.
Yeah.
That's gratitude. That's because all these people, think about it. Everyone that we have run through in our life, good, bad, or indifferent, has been a part of shaping who we are today. Right? Look, Bob, you know, you and I have talked about, you know, you've had people in your life that have screwed you over and done you wrong in this.
Sure.
But that's the bad side. The good side is maybe that's what got you and I together.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? It's you look back, and you know, I look back at my path, and it's kind of, maybe everybody's does, kind of just zigzag, you know, and I think that we all end up where we're at for a reason. And like, they say if everybody stood in a circle and threw their problems into a 5-gallon bucket and they could pull out anybody else's, 9 times out of 10, they'd pull their own right back out.
Yeah. It's the devil you know or the devil you don't know.
Right. Right. So, like, you know, I wouldn't want to, would I want to redo it? No. If I went back, would I do some things differently? Probably. Would I want to change the result? Not really, you know. A few things like I wish I'd done this or done that, but you know, you don't get the do-over in life, right? We're only here for a little while, and we got to make the most of it while we're here. And as I always say, I'm not going to be looking for any change back when I'm done, you know.
You can't, there's no U-Hauls behind the hearse, you know.
That's right. That's right.
I've never met or heard anyone that on their deathbed says, man, I wish I didn't do so many cool things in my life. I wish I just worked harder and made more money. I wish I didn't, you know, like your lake, right? I'm sure you're like, I wish I just didn't go up there on vacation as much as I did.
Right.
I'm sure those words will never come out of your mouth. You'll probably do things that you regret. Like, man, I wish I went down there. I wish I would have done this. That's what I always tell me. How many people are we going to hear after Mach 5? How many people are we going to hear like, oh man, I wish I would have been there? No, you don't. Don't fucking lie. Because if you did, you would have been there.
Right.
But you made a decision to stay small, and you made a decision not to. And it doesn't affect my life. And sadly, it will affect yours.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Holy moly. You got to warn me, man.
I know. It's not a terrible thing to wake up to.
Jesus.
What's up?
What's going on? What does your shirt say?
You don't scare me, 4 daughters.
That's funny.
It's got like a caricature of each of them with their names.
You're that dad that just loves to embarrass them, don't you?
Nah, I can't embarrass them. I try. I get those custom made shirts with their pictures on them and wear them out and things, and they just laugh now. They even buy them for me.
That's funny, man. That's
Yeah,
funny.
you do. I've seen that before. So Steve, watch out. He'll show up somewhere with a shirt with your face all over it. I'm
There's
half
worse things. There's worse things to have.
I half expected him to show up to the wedding with that on. So yeah. Bunker says, I believe there's a higher power that puts us all in the right room with the right people. It's what we do while we're in the room. It's up to me, right? So hang on to your hat. Hey, he's right side up. Richard.
Wait a minute.
Is this thing on? How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. How you doing today?
Good. You in the airport?
I am.
You better be.
I don't see Steve around. Oh wait. Oh yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
There I am. I was in the airport yesterday, flying over the top of all you guys.
Yeah. These things are they're hard sometimes, Richard, on the flip phone, you know.
Yeah, right.
It's
With the
hard to
big
move
buttons.
Yeah.
The jitterbug has new technology now, so you should be good.
The cricket. Whatever.
Shoot.
Yeah,
I
this new
gotta
phone called
wear
a
it around
Razor.
my neck. I gotta wear it around my neck, right?
Right.
In case you fall.
Yeah. Well, Bubba, Richard, we were just talking, you guys were listening in. We were talking about fear, you know, and stepping outside the comfort zone. Share with these guys, maybe there's a time, you know, in your recent past or whenever, when you've kind of stepped out of your comfort zone and done something that maybe it would have been okay if you didn't do.
I think every challenge comes with some fear associated with it, and I can't pick any specific item at the moment, but I can tell you that whatever comes my way that I consider a challenge, I will do my best to forge through.
Yeah.
Because winning is on the other side.
Right. How about you, Bubba?
I would say recently it was the leaving the sheriff's office when you got a secure guaranteed paycheck 1st and 15th. I mean, it wasn't substantial, great deal of money, but it was still pretty good.
Right.
I mean, it was decent living, and you had guarantee, you had health insurance, everything's there. I mean, all the guaranteed benefits, retirement, pension plan, everything, and you step out to the unknown that you got to depend on yourself if you're going to get paid.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Steve, even you're doing that, stepping outside the comfort zone. For me, it was kind of putting Summit over here and saying, all right, I'm going all in with you. And, you know, we don't know how that all ends or where it all goes, but that was a pretty big jump. The people that are close to me will tell you that. That was just like, all right, I've got faith in this guy. I've got faith in myself. And I think that, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone, go far, go together. And that's kind of what it was for me on this. And we haven't looked back. It's been a fun ride. So it's all good. Richard, safe travels. Do you have a connection or are you going direct?
No, I'm going direct, and unfortunately for Mr. Bubba, they just bumped my flight back a bit. But I'll keep you informed.
Ain't unfortunate for me, bitch. You're gonna catch another ride.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Sixt, S-I-X-T, I think, right down at the bottom of the stairs to the right. It's orange. You know, you can rent a car there.
There was a Mercedes.
Right.
There was a Mercedes left down there last night when we left out. So
There you go.
Get something with 10-ply tires.
Yeah, right. And studs.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff.
Well, hey guys, you know I can't let everybody go without at least talking some Mach 5 and why they should be there. Richard, Bubba, you guys we met at events. In fact, we all met at an event. And so what would you say to somebody that's on the shelf thinking, hey, I might go, might not, you know, I'm not sure about it.
Don't be a fool. Do it. I mean, the only thing you have is regret. You walk away from something like this with so much information and so much power. And I mean, it's, you got to start somewhere, right? No risk, no reward. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, well, look, Jason Rector just popped on. How you doing, buddy?
Very good. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. We were just talking
What's going
about,
on,
we were just talking about
Good morning, Coach.
of going to events and taking the opportunity. And you've been to many. In fact, that's where I met you. And so what would you say to somebody that's thinking about Mach 5 that hasn't pulled the trigger yet? I mean, you're a coaching client of ours. You've been around the group. You've seen growth in your own company. You know, what would you say to somebody that's on the edge of making that decision, pulling the trigger and buying a ticket?
You know, it's a lot of what Steve was saying, and I'll echo him. And it's you know, you don't know, um, you know, until you get around these people that just think differently, and it's truly eye opening and dumbfounding when you witness it and are in front of it, and it's really the piece of the puzzle that's missing, you know, and then you get to that other group, you know, that other room. So it's incredible, man. That's where you know, Bubba too. I sat next to him on my first one in Denver.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had to move on my second day, but first day was great.
Never been the same.
No.
Oh man. Yeah, well, good to see you guys. I invited Bunker on as well, but I think he's you know, he's got one of those Blackberries or something where he's not sure how to operate that thing, and it's got the wheel on the side, you know.
You should have invited Michelle. She would have fixed it so that he could get on.
She knows how to run that shit. That's right. We need a female in the mix around here. Keep everybody straight. So well, guys, does anybody have anything they want to share before we wrap it up? Steve, I'm appreciative of you taking the time. I know you probably haven't slept.
I had 2 hours. I had 2 hours since yesterday morning. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, look, man. I think. Listen, I hope everyone is doing all they need to do to be successful. You know, I think that, you know, something very simple is if you're getting on a freeway, you don't just jump on the freeway. You need an on ramp, and that on ramp is to give you speed to get up to speed to merge into traffic, right? If you're surfing and you see a wave coming, you start paddling way before the wave is on you.
Right.
Right now, we're about 100 days out of 2026, which is going to be a new year and a new era. The question is do you start paddling in January when it's on you, or do you start paddling now before the wave hits?
100%.
I think we all know the answer to that. So the question is what are you going to do in the next 90 days? Coming to Houston and being around these people is probably a good way to spend your time to start paddling, because once the wave is on you, it's too late and you're in between sets. And now you're saying, fuck, I got to wait another year.
Right.
I knew it. I should have done it. And so for those of you that had made that decision to wait out 2026 again, that's a big decision to assume you're going to be around in 2027, because I've got some data. I'm not going to share it here. I've got some data that I have learned in this industry that is not very favorable to people that are doing the same thing, expecting something different. And I'll share it there, but I've got a lot of stuff that is not, if you're doing the same thing you're doing, you better look at the way of Blockbuster and the Yellow Pages. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. I'll leave you guys with this. Fear feeds on uncertainty. Gratitude feeds on what's already good. Okay. Richard, I'm getting a lot of background. I'm just going to mute you for a second.
Sorry.
Every time you practice gratitude, you starve fear and fuel peace. Okay. So tune in tomorrow. There'll be some unsavory characters in the mix up here. Few people probably behind me. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about resilience and how to bounce back stronger when the world feels heavy, when the world feels shaky. Okay. So guys, I appreciate you jumping on. Jason, thanks for jumping on, buddy. I appreciate you. Richard, unmute you, and thank you for, I don't know how to do that. Try to unmute you. There you
I
go.
can do that. There you go.
Yeah. Safe travels, my friend. Bubba, thanks for picking people up and getting them up here. And Steve, thank you for all that you do. And you and I think I have a call coming up here after this on more work related stuff. So you ain't getting any sleep.
No,
all right.
That's what's happening today. Fish and chips later for me in London.
There you go. When in Rome, right? So to speak.
Yeah,
Bunker,
exactly.
F you all. All right, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thanks for jumping on and contributing. We'll see you. Take care. Bye bye.